Hi everyone, this is Julie and thank you for joining me today. I know that you've been learning about iSPIRE and that you're ready to get into the program to start experiencing it. I'm going to walk you through the steps of setting up a SPIRE class or group and assigning a student so that you can get into the program. But first I'd like to review some of the key features of iSPIRE. The secret to SPIRE and iSPIRE success is our 10-step explicit teacher-led lesson. And in this lesson, we incorporate all of the critical areas of reading, giving students instruction in phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, vocabulary, and comprehension. Now you can instruct your students through this 10-step lesson plan and offer multisensory learning strategies as well, but you can do it on a digital device. iSPIRE is still research, time-proven instruction, but the students can participate using an iPad, Chromebook, or laptop computer. There's constant interaction between the student and the teacher. We're not giving up any of the instruction or the hands-on activities. So this is very exciting and very innovative. So let's go ahead and get started and look at the components. First of all, you start the process with your placement test. The placement test is available online at epsbooks.com. It takes about 5 minutes per student to place someone in the program. It's very easy to do, and it gives you the information about how these students are decoding. We're just trying to figure out what level to begin instruction on. Now, the other component that you need is a device. It can be an iPad, laptop, or Chromebook. And all of the activities from SPIRE is just in this device. You just click a button and your lesson is there and ready to go. The other optional component is the workbook. This is optional because you can print everything you need that's contained in the workbook from the program itself. The workbook just contains a paper copy of all of the reading passages in SPIRE. It also contains dictation paper because even when we're teaching in a digital way, we still ask our students to do their spelling with paper and pencil because it gives them the best sensory feedback. The scope and sequence of iSPIRE is where you're going to be able to figure out where to place a student. The iSPIRE scope and sequence goes to level 6, where the SPIRE scope and sequence does go to level 8, but we have found that students, once they get through level 6, they're reading so well that many districts are choosing to put their students back into general reading after that. The scope and sequence is aligned with language development. We do need our students that begin iSPIRE to be at that level 1 level. So if you have a student that does not know consonants, they would need to begin instruction in Sound Sensible. And once they've learned their consonant sounds, they would start into iSPIRE at level 1. There are 2 types of iSPIRE lessons. We have our introductory lessons and our reinforcing lessons. So you start out with an introductory lesson. Then you teach one reinforcing lesson, and depending on the student's progress, you would either go on to the next intro lesson or teach more practice reinforcing lessons. Now, there's going to be progress monitoring built right into iSPIRE so that you're going to know almost instantaneously if your students have mastered the concepts. Very easy to do. Within those introductory and reinforcing lessons, you have the same 10 steps in every single lesson. So once you get acclimated into the program and you see the way everything is set up, it's very easy to navigate through and teach. The students know what to expect. They react very well to the stability and the consistency of the program. And the only thing that changes as you teach the lessons is the difficulty of the material. And the program constantly spirals and reviews, so once what they have learned in the earlier levels, they're still using and practicing in the upper levels. Now, as far as your group setup and group size, an iSPIRE group can be as many as 8 students. 6 to 8 is what we recommend. Now, with the printed version, we're saying 3 to 5. We're adding a couple students to that group size just because it's so much easier to get through a lesson. You're not having to pass out materials and collect them, so it makes for a smoother transition as the lesson goes on. So you could set up your class, as you see on the screen, in rows, or you could do it around a group table. It's whatever you're comfortable with. But the thing to remember here is that if you're teaching iSPIRE, you really have to be on the move as the teacher so that you can see what each individual student is doing, and that's especially true if the kids are using a laptop or Chromebook, because you have to, be able to check on their progress through every activity, because it is teacher-directed instruction, so we have to have that consistent feedback and interaction. So the student view and the teacher view look a little different. The students only see what they need to see. The teacher sees the teacher script. So what you need to say, when you need to say it, is available. You can see it right on your screen as a teacher in real time. So it's very easy to follow through a lesson. It's that pink box at the lower part of your screen. You can enlarge the box so that you can see that detailed script for any activity that you're teaching. This is a soft script, so you can put things in your own words, but having it right there in front of you helps you stay on track and keeps you teaching the lesson with good fidelity. Now, there's also options within the program for the students to actually submit what they're doing on their screen to your teacher screen. So that's really engaging and fun for the kids. So when they're done, maybe with this word search that you see on this screen, they press submit, and then their icon shows up on the teacher screen. And all the teacher has to do is click on that icon, and then you can see what the student has done. You can even press a button to have that student edit it and change something. So that's really nice. But again, you do want to be seeing and up and around and observing what the kids are doing while they're working on this activity as well. So here's a look at the teacher login screen. So easy to do. I'm going to show you a few screenshots right now that show you what you see as you get into the program. And then I'm going to get in and show you how easy it is to set up your students. So first of all, you go to apt.exploros.com and you see your login screen. Hopefully you've all set up your accounts. You do that with your token. So once you have your account set up, you go into this screen and you put in your username and password and you just click login and you're in. It's very easy to do. Then to create a class is very simple. You just go to on the upper left hand of your screen to all experiences and you see a little plus sign, and that's going to add in your class. And when we talk about a class in iSPIRE, we're actually talking about a student group. It's a small group. You can set up as many of these small groups as you need to, and that's so that you can go into each individual group and assign them a lesson from the level they're working at. So you need to give your group a name, and then it's going to guide you through some details. You pick a grade level, a subject, and then you press next, and then you've got your class created. Then you're going to go in and add some students to this account. Again, very easy. You go to import students. You have to type in the names of your students in exactly the correct way. So you go first name, comma, last name, comma, username. Most teachers just use first initial, last name of the student, and then the password. And for the password, I recommend that you use something easy that you'll remember, and every student can have the same password, so it's just simplifies things. So I always just choose iSPIRE. I don't have to, figure it out. It's so easy to do, and I do recommend that you do that. And once you have your kids all listed, you can do more than one at a time, and then you just click the next button, and then it will guide you through proofreading the students that you imported, and then it will send the list to your email so that you have a record of it. So it's really easy. Then we have to assign a lesson to that group, and that happens on your home screen. You'll see a larger circle with a plus sign, and it will guide you that this is how you assign a lesson. You click on that plus sign, and you go into the iSPIRE library to the level and the lesson you're ready to teach, and you assign it very easily. The screen guides you to all the steps, and I will show you that in person in just a moment. Now, your dashboard screen, when you get into your lesson and you've assigned a lesson, it will appear on your home screen. And then at the bottom of that screen, you have 3 icons. And this is really how you move yourself through the different attributes of the program. So you've got your dashboard. That's where you go into automatically for each lesson. It gives you the class list and where you are within that lesson. So the 10 steps are there, and you've got a little person that is progressing through those 10 steps for each of your kids. The activity icon is how you get into the actual lesson. So that's important to remember. If you feel kind of stuck, you're on the dashboard and you can't remember how to get into the lesson, it's always activity. It's at that bottom. Activity takes you to the lesson. Then the pack just has those extra resources that you may want to print out for your kids. I encourage you to take some time and look in the pack and see all the things that are available. You know, you can print out the key concept pictures of the sound patterns. You can print out those stories that are in the workbook, the dictation paper. And there's just a lot of great resources in there, so I encourage you to really explore everything that's included in the pack. But remember, when you go to your dashboard, that's where you're going to go when you assign a lesson. It's going to automatically take you there. You have to click on activity to get to the lesson itself. Once into the lesson, then you're in control of your student's screen. So that's a really nice aspect. The kids can't go ahead in the lesson or lag behind, because when you move them, everybody moves. So the 10 steps are organized in themes, and those themes are in the circle numbers at the upper right of your screen. And so one step could have several themes involved. So when you're done with one activity, one screen, you just click on the next, and the program will automatically take you where you need to go. Just have to remember that if you're on theme 2, doesn't necessarily mean that you're on step 2. You want to look at your teacher script to identify the step you're on. But as you're progressing through the lesson, those circled numbers take you through each activity. And that's how the teacher controls the movement of the students, is from those themes. So there's many times in a lesson where a student on the student device is going to see the blue screen. This just means eyes on the teacher. Love that. Because, again, there's nothing to really distract the kids from paying attention to you because you're instructing during these times. So when the kids see blue, that means they listen to the instruction. They might be looking at the board. They might be looking at your device. But it's important to have all of their attention because, again, this is a teacher-directed lesson. So I am teaching several times, well, the whole way through, but if I'm not doing hands-on with the kids, I'm instructing them. All right, so now I'm going to get on to the program and show you how easy it is to set up a class and get a child into the class and then assign a lesson. So I'm just going to go out of my PowerPoint and go into my iSPIRE account. So I've gone right into my login page, and again, the website is app.exploros.com. That'll take you to your login. Got my username and password in. I just click log on, and that takes me into my home page. And here's where you go to add a class. So I go into all experiences. At the upper left, it's these 3 horizontal lines that always takes you to your list of classes. So I go click on this, and then I have many classes set up, and it takes me to all of those. But I want to set up a new class. I'm going to go over to the plus sign, and that gives me my create a new class screen. It asks me to name the class, so I'm just going to name it Ross 5, and then I can create it, that gives me the details screen, and I just have to put a few details in. Pick my grade level. Let's say we're 5th grade. My subject is English Language Arts, and I've got to highlight the iSPIRE so that the program will put all the information into the iSPIRE group. Then I press Next. Okay, so I look on my menu, and there's my class that I created, Ross 5. I click the class. And next, I go to the little arrow icon next to the name of my class, Ross 5. I go to the roster. I'm going to import students, and that takes me to my screen where I can add in the information. So I'm going to add the first name. It's got to be done just in this format, the name, a comma, last name, the username. Again, I recommend just using the first initial, last name, and then the password. And you can use the same password. I'm using iSPIRE. Then I can add several students at once if I'd like to. And then I go ahead and click Next. And then that gives me my students so that I can make sure that I got everything right. If I'm satisfied with how that looks, I click on Next again. Here we go again. It gives me that list, and I'm just going to click on Import. And now I'm going to email this class list to myself so I have a record of it. And that's all there is to it. I've just added a student to my class. So that means now when I go to my class Ross 5, my circle with the plus sign appears to the right. That is how I can assign a lesson to this class. So you're not going to see this circle until you get your class named. You create a class, and you get at least one student into that class. So I know you all are wanting to practice, so that's what you need to do so that you get the option to assign a lesson. So then I click the plus sign. That takes me to the iSPIRE library. Click on the iSPIRE library, and then there's all my levels. Now you'll also notice something called Quick Start Lessons. These are lessons that give background knowledge of previous levels. So let's say that I had a student that began placed in level 2 in iSPIRE. That means I would give them the Quick Start lesson for level 1 just to give them background knowledge. So those are very nice to have available in the program so that you can really give your students those background concepts to make them very successful at their instructional level. So I'm going to go into level 1, and that gives me the option for a pretest, so I can give a pretest of the whole level. And any of the assessments that I give in iSPIRE are saved in the program. So you cannot save daily work, but you can save any kind of assessments that you give your students. So then I'm going to go to the lesson. I'm going to go to SH, and I'm going to go to an introductory lesson. And see, I have the option to preview the lesson. That means just look at it, just go over what I'm teaching. Or I can actually assign it. I'm going to choose Assign. So that takes me to this screen, and I have to, first of all, give myself an end date. Now, my lesson is only going to last about 2 hours if I don't change the end date. So I recommend that you just give yourself a week, just in case, because you can always end it sooner. But in case your lesson takes a couple days, you don't want to lose where you are in the lesson. So this will ensure that you're able to go right back in where you left off. Then I'm going to choose the student. And this was my class, remember Ross 5. And there he is. And then I'm going to actually assign the lesson. So once I do that, the lesson comes up on my menu page. This is also going to come up on my students page. So Ken, when he gets into the program, will see this appear on his page as he logs in. So I have to direct my students to click on the lesson. And remember, we go into the dashboard first, and here it is. So it shows my student, and then I'm at the very beginning of the lesson. Now get into the actual lesson. Remember, I have to click on the activity icon. So that takes me into the lesson, and here is step 1, and it tells me my teacher script and what to do. And remember, to navigate through the different activities, I go through my circles at the upper right. And when I click on one, my students go with me. So you control the navigation, which is such a wonderful feature of iSPIRE. So I'm going to go to word building and show you how that works. Well, this is nice. Look at this. This is the key concept picture for SH, so that's really a nice feature. You'll notice that you have real photographs here, and in iSPIRE, they're kind of cartoony pictures, but in iSPIRE, the key concept words are those real pictures, so that's really nice. So I'm going to go to word building. Taking me a second to get there. Okay, so here we go, word building. This is really engaging for students. They click on their purple box, and then they see the letters that they are using to build words. Remember, my teacher script tells me what words to have them build. The first word is going to be shift, so I go shift, and then and I still have the students point and say the sounds in shift, shift. And then I can clear the word and build another word. Let's build dash. So then we would go this, and then we point and say the sounds in dash, this, dash. So that's all there is to it. Now for this step, I have to just click on out of the tab. It takes me back to the navigation screen. Remember, here is my teacher script, so it tells me exactly what to say and how to say it. And then I'm going to go on to the next step, which is word coding. This is very engaging for students because I'm going to use my drawing tools. So I go to the box, and I pick my green, because you should always do this step in green to reinforce with the students how important the vowels are. And then I just guide them to underlining their vowels, and they can link together their teams. So that's what they would do. So they're still getting hands-on coding strategy. They're just doing it on their device. Remember, the next part of this step is to read the word with the vowel sound first. So they would say, I is shift, I is dish. And this is the step where the kids can, one of the steps where they can submit their work to you, so that's a nice feature as well. Kids get really good at this. It takes a little practice. Probably with a laptop or Chromebook, you might want to use a mouse if you can. The iPad is really nice because they can use a stylus, and it's just like writing. So that gives you an idea of how the program works. So here's my my little script. It tells me some vocabulary I can work on. Also at the top, it tells me how to code those words. So teachers are always close to the teacher script. I love it because it appears in real time when you need it. You don't have to flip through a teacher's guide. It's always right there for you. All right, so I would just continue to navigate through the lesson. When we're done with one activity, we go to the next. This is pre-reading, step 5, so you always know what step you're on. Now, the way to get everyone out of the lesson, so say my time is up, I would click on this arrow to the bottom left, and that will take me out of the lesson, and it takes everybody out. So I get the message. You can control the navigation. When you leave, your students will too. So I go ahead and say, yes, I want to leave, and we all go back to the menu page. Now, to get to the assessments, I'm going to go back to my library. Remember, I was at level 1. I was at SH. And your assessments are always in the independent work experience for the lesson. So I taught the SH intro lesson, and now I need that independent work just to get to the assessment, and I can also assign the independent work to the other students while I'm pulling students to test one-on-one. So I just assign it. Again, I give myself some time so I don't lose my work, and choose my students and assign it. Okay, so independent work, everyone would see this on their screen. You click on it. To get into the actual work, you need to remember to click on activity, and then you'll see that it starts with workbook pages, workbook activities the kids can work on. Now, the thing about the independent work experiences is that for the kids to progress through these activities, you have to unlock it. So there's a little lock here on my teacher screen. I unlock it, and then the students can click on the second activity. And again, I have to unlock it, and then there's the assessment that appears. So again, I have step-by-step instructions on what to do. This is a fluency drill. Those are the assessments that you have for every introductory lesson. And so there's a timer I can start and then just have the students reading, seeing how many words a minute they can read. Then I can save the results into the program. So that's essentially how this works. Very easy to use. I hope that you have, a great time kind of exploring that maybe you can start to use it with a student or two. Please let me know if you have any questions, and thank you for your attention today.